Oh, hello. We've been talking about the Industrial Revolution. We've looked at the importance of railroads and the development of the steel and oil industry. Last topic, we looked at some of the changes in the business structures in the late 1800s. Today, we're going to take a look at how some of those changes impacted workers. And as you can see, the main idea is that poor working conditions in many industries led workers to form unions and stage labor strikes. So that'll be fun. Let's take a look at that. First off, workplace conditions were not monitored by the government, which meant that business owners could really treat employees however they wanted. Not surprisingly, some business owners were very kind and understanding and did the right thing. There were also many business owners who were ruthless, who did not pay well, who didn't care about their workers. So, a few statistics or pieces of information about workers on this slide. Number one, because of the massive increases in manufacturing and making goods, there were a lot more workers who were necessary. So, a lot more people went to work. We're talking about people moving from their farms into cities to work. We're talking about immigrants coming to the United States in large numbers to work. So lots and lots of workers. African Americans and immigrant workers were typically given the jobs that nobody else really wanted to do, and they were paid very poorly for them. Many immigrants, especially, were taken advantage of due to language barriers between them and the owners of factories. There were a lot of kids who went to work. Put on the slide there, ages 10 to 16. Obviously, you would prefer to have the 10 to 16-year-olds in school, but many families had to send their kids to work in order to make money to survive. Unskilled workers had terrible working conditions. Essentially, nobody cared about it. And like I said in the previous topic, the government had a very hands-off approach to business, and so it wasn't like somebody was going to step in and help. Sweatshops is just a vocab word that's used to describe these locations where working conditions were super terrible, really overcrowded, buildings that were on the verge of falling in or burning down at any moment. So, how did workers respond? Well, one of the things that workers did, and I'll try to move out of the way there. One of the things that workers did was they formed labor unions to help try to organize and fight for more rights as workers. The idea behind a labor union is very simple. The workers' voices collectively are much louder than one worker's voice. If you use the school as an example, if I feel like the school is not providing very good insurance benefits to my family, if I go and I meet with the superintendent of our school and express my concerns, he's going to listen respectfully, but he's probably not going to be looking to make a bunch of changes based on what one employee wants. But if all of the employees together express concern about their insurance and the benefits that come from that, then he's more likely to listen whenever the employees are working together. So you see a couple of examples in the late 1800s. There's a lot of different labor unions. You only really need to know about two of them. One is called the Knights of Labor. This was the very first really large labor union. It was not hard to be in the Knights of Labor. As I put on the slide, it had open membership for skilled and unskilled workers, so there was a wide variety of people in it. Women could join the Knights of Labor. African American could join the Knights of Labor. It was a really large organization, and part of the reason why it didn't last that long was because they opened their membership to anybody. You don't have as much leverage if you just let anybody into your labor union. And what I mean by that is, let's say that let's say you have a labor union of people who provide a very specific service, like they operate those gigantic cranes. There might be less than 50 people in the entire Kansas City metro area who can operate a gigantic crane. So why wouldn't those people get together and say, look, we're going to demand that we get paid $50 an hour to operate these cranes. Otherwise, we're just not going to do it. And so businesses would, if they wanted construction done, they would have to pay that price for the crane operators. However, if the crane operators were in a union with a bunch of random guys that all they did was hammer a nail, something that requires far less skill than operating a crane, then they're not going to be able to have the leverage that they would have if they were in a union of skilled workers only. So the Knights of Labor eventually fizzled out for several reasons. The first real labor union that was based on skilled labor was called the American Federation of Labor, founded by Samuel Gompers. It's actually still in existence to this day. So it had a pretty lasting impact on America. But some of their goals you can see there: higher wages, obviously shorter hours, and better working conditions. That graphic on the right was really it's obviously a cartoon, but it describes what many people believe is the ideal working environment, where you work for 8 hours, where you rest or sleep, hopefully for 8 hours, and then you have 8 hours to do whatever you want to do. So that adds up to 24 in case you're a bad math student. Anyway, I believe that's all for topic 3. We'll come back with topic 4 shortly.